Welcome back into the film room. I'm your host, Eric Turner. Well, even though the NFL season is not yet complete, we got to get into some of the scouting of the NFL draft prospects, and I'm way behind this time of the year. And as you guys know, we typically go down to Mobile for the Senior Bowl, so I wanted to take a look at some of these Senior Bowl prospects before I get down there. So we're going to dive into safety Javon Bullard from Georgia tonight. He plays a position that, the Bills are probably looking to start augmenting as this season concludes, with Poyer aging, with Hyde aging, and some of those depth players not really knowing whether they are starters. So I wanted to start with the safety position, and Bullard's film really impressed me in many ways because of his versatility. He played primarily safety last year, but he's got over 500 snaps at Georgia at nickel. So let's look at some of those pluses and minuses. As I said, former corner, played safety as well, very versatile, has really good feet, quick twitch in his lower legs, in his feet. When he sees a route and trusts his eyes, he triggers and goes. You'll see that a bunch on film. And his transitions are really nice. He takes very good angles to the route, to the ball carrier. And probably my favorite thing that he does on film, which you're going to see several clips of, is his ability to match crossing routes, whether they're run by tight ends or wide receivers. And he uses that speed and fluidity and overall athleticism to close on those routes, but not just close. He gets into the guy's hip pockets and he makes plays on the ball at the catch point by doing that. And that's something that really translates at the next level. The ability to close on crossing routes, as you'll see, is incredibly important in today's NFL. Some of the negatives, physicality. I'd like to see him be a little more physical at 5'11", 195. He's got decent size. I want to see him be more physical, especially when he comes down into the box from those two high safety looks, or when he's in the box in some single high looks, which is very rare. When Georgia did go to single high looks, he was primarily the post safety, so the deep single high safety. But there were times where I'd like to see his physicality in the run game show a little more, but also down the field, when he is matched up with guys down the field, and the further he gets down the field, I'd like to see him fight and show a little more competitiveness in that department, because sometimes those receivers and tight ends will disengage from him and detach from him in coverage because of that lack of physicality. And there are also times that he has this momentary lapse where he doesn't quite recognize when the break's going to come or the route that is being run, and he will just kind of have a little glitch in his processing, and that will put him behind the chains. That'll put him in chase mode and in recovery mode more often than you'd like to see. Now, he's also going to miss some tackles. And what happens when he misses tackles is there are times where he believes he is out leveraged by the ball carrier. And instead of running through the tackle and fitting up the run, he dives at the ball carrier and will miss some tackles. And you're going to see that on film. He'll lunge and grab cloth if he feels like he's just out of reach. So his tackling technique needs to be cleaned up and refined. And of course, that is absolutely coachable, and because you don't want your defender's feet to stall and that guy just diving at the ball carrier. You want him scalloping in. You want him fitting up and taking good angles to the ball so that he can make proper wrap-up technique tackles instead of just diving at the legs and trying to cut the legs out of that ball carrier. So without further ado, let's jump into some of this film of Bullard last season. First clip here we're going to take a look at is versus Auburn. We have Auburn. We have some Florida tape. We have some Alabama tape. So you see him too high safety look. You see Georgia pressuring near the line of scrimmage. He's reading the quarterback's drop and that deep over by the tight end. You see him match that. He does this routinely. Always takes away those crossing routes. Always takes away those options in the passing game. Here's another one, matching versus the number 3. He's on the logo. Alabama changes the formation. He drops down a little more. You see him close. And that's what I'm talking about. He closes that gap. He doesn't let that guy run away from him. And then he uses a little savvy move right at the collision point. He uses his hands to kind of slingshot himself in front of that target. And that takes away that target as an option. It's a savvy move that some of the best defenders and corners and safeties at the next level use to undercut routes, to get in front of wide receivers. And it's something that he already has in the toolbox already. So here he is, split safety look, but kind of matched up with the number 3. Reads the quick game, reads the route, triggers. Very good trigger on the ball. Makes a play on the ball there. Breaks it up. You'll see that trigger routinely in his film, especially when you're talking coming from that too high look or that post safety look. He'll trigger. He'll come downhill when he's confident in what he sees. Here's another one. Top of the screen. Now, the ball is complete underneath on first down here. But again, scout the traits. Watch how he breaks on this ball. Boom. You see that twitch, that explosion. Curl, I'm going at it. Again, it's caught. Don't scout the production there and how the pass was completed. Scout the traits, that closing speed by him, that twitch, that explosiveness. That's going to translate. Angles. He's very good at angles when we're talking spacing, route concepts, and routes altogether. So Alabama's on the move here. They're changing the formation. They're snapping the ball with motion. Watch him change that angle. Look at him jump inside. Jumps inside. Gets a good angle on that. And once he realizes, boom, that receiver's going across the middle of the field. Look at him flip those hips. He's almost sitting on the route stem. And once that wide receiver flattens that route to go across the middle, flips those hips, gets his hand on him, and then takes him away. That's really good fluidity and understanding of that route. Just look at, see that little adjustment. It's so minor. But how he takes that inside leverage. Forces that receiver to flatten his route out. Gives him more time to open those hips and take away that crossing route. This is probably my favorite one when it comes to that. Again, on the logo. And then just watch him close. Closing speed and speed when you're talking defensive backs. It's so important at the next level because teams are going to be running these crossing routes. Guys are going to be running away from you. Do you have the speed to close that gap, to close that distance? See that there's some distance. There's a cushion right here. Watch him close that and then have the speed to run through in front of that receiver and break the pass up. That's translatable at the next level, whether you're talking nickel defender or as a deep safety. Right there, you see him. As soon as he realizes that 11's breaking over the middle, look at him shuffle those feet, open those hips, use that speed, and take the ball away from that offensive player there. That's awesome stuff. Here's another play versus an RPO. There's that trigger. Here he comes. Boom, go make a play on the ball. This quarterback holding that mesh thinks that he's going to come down and commit to the run fit and not be able to make a play out wide. Look at him close that and change that angle. Watch his angle. You see, he's kind of coming down this way. He's not coming down towards that slot receiver, but watch the break. Boom, changes that angle, has the twitch, has the explosiveness, and speed to make a play on the ball at the catch point. Leverage, angles, incredibly important, especially when you're talking covering receivers out in space, when they're moving at the snap. So he's up top. Watch him adjust to number 6 here. He doesn't just stay out wide here. He kind of feels these guys breaking inside and that this guy is probably going to follow them. Look at that receiver's eyes. You think those eyes are telling what route he's going to run? Absolutely. Look at how Bullard moves his feet. He doesn't just stay out leveraged out wide there. You can see the distance between him and that wide receiver when you're talking horizontally. He closes that distance. He shuffles almost till his head's up with that guy. He's reading the eyes in that route, and he's able to take that guy away as an option. It's so subtle, but it's incredibly important to shave angles, to take away leverage that the formation or the route may have created for a wide receiver. And he takes that away with his movement and his angles. Here's another play just like that. He's in a slot. You see him right there. That route stem by that receiver is taking him inside. Well, what does Bullard do? Shuffles with him, maintains that distance, that gap, but also the leverage when you're talking horizontally. And then he senses this whip route or return route coming back out wide. And because he stayed in that proper position, he's able to just break. He's not in that recovery mode. He's not in that chase mode. He's under control. He's balanced. He's calculating angles as soon as that ball is snapped. Here's a big hit from a two-eye safety look coming from depth. Very good angle and closing speed and recognition here by him. But earlier in the game, they got him. He was the post safety. They ran a slant. He got caught in a wash behind the referee and some of his teammates, and that receiver got a big play. Well, later in the game, this is what happened. He's like, no. I'm not letting that happen again. Look at him peeking at the quarterback. It's essentially a four-strong formation right here. Only solo guy is right here. So he just is patient. Watch him read the quarterback. Look at the route. Read the quarterback. He sees that the quarterback's looking for the slant. He sees the wide receiver running the slant. What's he do? He triggers. Good hit on that wide receiver. Here's one example I pulled from his missed tackle reel. And again, it's one of those things where, okay, if he takes a better angle to start, I believe he's supposed to be filling right here. But he's a little late to fill there. And you see him kind of get out leverage as this running back kind of bends right here. Watch him stop. Like, why are you stopping there? Squeeze inside right there on that running back and go make the tackle. Instead, he's behind, he gets out leverage, and he just dives at the legs of that running back. Tackling is something that can be cleaned up. If you're taught how to properly scallop in, how to properly fit up a runner as they're moving, as the angles are changing, you'll be in better position to make a tackle attempt at the very least. This is a terrible attempt. He's just diving at the legs of that guy when really he could just be changing his angle, increasing his speed to close the gap, and then running through the running back there to make the tackle. Instead, that happens. Luckily, his teammate makes the tackle. And here's just a clip I threw in just to give you an idea of his top speed, but also the different gears that he has. As this runner gets up the sideline, I want you to watch Bullard right there. Watch him and watch him chase this running back down up the sideline. I mean, that speed is phenomenal. And I'm sorry, that's actually the quarterback. But watch him get up the speed, and you see him hit another gear to chase that quarterback down. Great hustle, effort, and then you get to see some of those traits, the top speed and the different gears that he has in the toolbox. All stuff that is going to translate at the next level. I do think Bullard is a talented safety. I do think he could play some nickel in some systems and safety at the next level. I think he's more than likely a day 2 guy. There were some off the field issues with him. Again, he's a kid, but the off the field issue was he was arrested for DUI September 7th. He was charged with a misdemeanor. So there's some questions and background stuff that probably needs to be done on him. Stuff that I obviously don't have the ability or access to do, but it is something that, teams are going to have to vet out when the draft process continues on for Bullard. But when it comes to his film, when it comes to some of the stats, he's a very talented player. Likely a day 2 guy. He's got snaps as a post safety, as a split field safety, a lot of pattern matching in the system that he's played in. I just think he's got that versatility that a lot of teams are going to like in day 2 once they do all of their background work on him. He also was a captain for the Orange Bowl. He was one of 4 captains. So again, he's got some of those leadership skills. Maybe just needs some maturity to occur over the next couple of years once he enters the league. But you can see him on the film. He communicates well with his teammates. And that's what you need to watch when teams are adjusting formations, whether they're shifting or motioning. You see him communicating with hand signals. That's all, different traits and skills that will translate very well on Sundays. I'm Eric Turner, host of the Film Room every Wednesday night at 7 p.m., owner of Cover One. We're going to be doing a bunch of these breakdowns. If you like this content, smash that like button. Leave me a comment. Let me know what prospects you want me to take a look at, especially if they are going down to Mobile for the Senior Bowl. We'll be down there in about 10 days, scouting a bunch of these players, doing a bunch of these breakdowns, and podcasts on the college football channel of Cover One. So if you're not a subscriber to this channel, smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, leave us comments, help us grow this channel aside from the main Cover One Sports YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in our next breakdown.